We're up to the ninth principle of the faith, the ninth description of reality, God's reality, which says that the Torah will not change. Now, the Torah refers, as I just said, to the 5 books of Moshe, the instructions contained therein, plus the stories and the guidelines and so on. That will not change. Now, on the face of it, this is first addressing, Rambam's writing this, and he's already living the time of Christianity and Islam, and who each have presented to the world other books, other ideas, and so he's saying, no, God's not going to come back and yank the Torah back, say, no, that no longer applies, this now applies, as Christians claim and as Muslims claim. That's not going to happen. God gave the Torah, and he knew what he was doing, and he meant it to last for all time. That's not to say that there wasn't some insight, some clarity, some vision that Christians or Muhammad had into the reality, because reality is reality. You can have inspirations or insights into it, but they weren't clear like Moshe. It's a very tempting thing to do, to find a new way of describing reality, especially when it winds up being easier, because reality is usually difficult. So if you come up with an easy way to approach it, that's very tempting. And I have a personal note of this, because when I first went out to teach, my Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg of blessed memory, I remember he told me, he said, make sure you teach the Torah, that it's the real Torah that you're teaching. And I kind of knew what he meant at the time, and later I knew it even better, because when I went to teach to the students, there were many times that I was very tempted to present it as an easier job than it really was, to color it in an easier way. But it wouldn't have been true, it wouldn't have been real. And so I overcame that temptation because of what my Rebbe had said to me, because he'd warned me about this. And I would suggest maybe that, the same thing, not maybe, from a Jewish perspective, we would say that even if there was a revelation to the Christians and to the Muslims, in the Torah itself, we know that Bilam, who's not Jewish, was supposed to be even a greater prophet than Moshe. He had more, his prophetic powers were greater, but he didn't achieve the clarity that Moshe did with the powers that he had. So nobody got a clearer vision than Moshe, and we reject every other vision that contradicts Moshe's vision, because we know that was the clearest, because, as I explained before, we know that he was proven to be a prophet. So the Torah is not going to change. It is meant to last forever. No one is going to come up with as clear a vision as Moshe, and therefore his Torah, his written word, which was dictated by God, is inviolable, and we're not allowed to change it. But I think it also says something more than just what the circumstances that Rambam had to face with Christianity and Muslim and other religions. As I said, it's an ongoing temptation in every generation. Every teacher is tempted to make it easier for students, to explain it in an easier way, to convince them that we're all looking for easy ways out. It also says that the Torah will not change in this world. Eventually there will be a change, because dead people don't follow the Torah. The Torah is meant for the living in this world. What happens after you die? You don't disappear. You continue to live on some other dimension in some other way. We certainly believe in that. That's some other principles. But that life is not this life. So there will be, if there's life then, so there'll be instructions then. There'll be opportunities. There'll be guidelines. Because you don't want to be a rock. You don't want to lose your humanity. You don't want to lose your identity as something able to create, to choose, to grow. That's who you are. So you don't want to lose that, otherwise it wouldn't be heaven. And then there has to be guidelines on how to do that. But it won't be this Torah. But for this world, this Torah doesn't change. Just like the human body does not change, you still have to put on your pants one leg at a time, as the cliche goes. So also, you still have to develop your autonomy, your self-discipline, your dignity, your humility, your generosity, all these good traits. These are the elements of the spiritual world that the Torah addresses and gives us insight into on how we can develop ourselves. How can we actually affect these untouchable ideas of charity, of generosity, of dignity, of self-discipline, and so on? Well, all the activities in the Torah are designed to help us achieve those things. They don't change because the human condition doesn't change as long as you're in this world. And so that's the importance of the ninth principle, that these things will not go away. And by the same time, they're just as powerful and just as meaningful and just as useful today as they ever were, because they don't address the changes in the physical world. They change the eternal values of the spiritual world, which are always with us. So we can speak to China on a cell phone and see the person instantaneously today, but we still have to figure out what to say and how to present ourselves. That's still an ongoing challenge on how to establish our identity and our value to that person and his value to us, and all the rest of it. So that's the ninth principle.